What's up, guys? Today we're going to be designing some amazing product iconography. Most of you guys might understand this better than I do, but I'll go ahead and explain what product iconography really means. But before we dive into that, I want to first, invite you to the studio. Right now, what I want to do, I want to reorganize the studio. Let's just do that right now, and then we can design the iconography later. Couple things, starting off with why I would even switch. The sole reason why I wanted to switch was to maybe try to trigger my brain to think of a new environment within the same environment. So I usually do that when I get bored by my setup. I just move things around. I mean, I should do it, it works. It just triggers your brain to enjoy this new environment within the same environment, by the way. So I think that really worked. There are a couple of things I like about this setup. One of those things that I really love about this setup is the couch. The couch is really comfortable right now. I feel like I'm so close to the window compared to the, being far away from the window. It's a pro and a con at the same time. What is the con? So when you think about this couch being right here, because I still have like some stuff just sitting in this couch, I'll be setting it up maybe after. So one of the reasons why I don't like the couch being here, yet I love it being here, is the couch looks right direct in the wall. Kind of weird compared to the spectacle you had when it was just right there. You were just looking in through this beautiful picture window. Right now, it's the wall. It goes without saying that this setup is quite really good for video. I'm not yet sure because I feel like this was easy for me to set up. Like the light is just right here. The camera is way back there, which is always like my camera is close. That is kind of like, I don't know how the picture would look, but you guys can let me know. And also if you're new out here, you can just hit that subscribe button and don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. And I'm officially back. Most of you guys didn't know that I've been months away off YouTube. I know, most of you guys are saying like, yeah, you've said that a million times, I'm back, and you don't come back. But this time around, I'll tell you for a fact, like the reason why I've been away, it's been for a good reason. I got this amazing project that I've been part of. It's called the Airco project. It's what every designer would hope for, design that really impacts and change lives. So this entire project is about air pollution, and we're designing tools that help people track air pollution, which is mind-blowing. Couple things that I should note about the Airco project. I'm the design lead. Originally, I was the first design hire, so they hired me to just really introduce design as a culture at Airco. And for the longest time, I've been doing that. Right now, I'm confident that there's quite some solid impact. I managed successfully Successfully, I managed to redesign the website, which is quite fascinating. There's a link if you want to check out this amazing website. And then for those of you guys who want to check out the mobile app we designed that helps you track the air quality around you, I'll put you a link in the description so that you can go download that mobile application. So the beauty about this device is that it's not like a done deal that they designed one thing and they forgot. These guys innovate every other day. It's quite even fascinating. Like they are in that cycle of like, what can we improve? What can we add? What can we improve? What can we add? And it's quite fascinating that that's the nature of how we build software. So I feel like this is why I feel that this project is really, really important to my career, but also for my personal development. So as a design lead, I'm gonna be taking on like the iconography, and I'm gonna be designing some product icons. Already I've gathered some like inspiration from Apple and some other companies that really take icon design seriously, because every device out there, every product, every service needs some sort of iconography, because not every level of communication needs a full picture or a product image, or you know what I mean. So that's why I think right now, since I'm working on the design system for Airco, I'm already in the segment of icon design. I already did, work on some couple icons, mostly the system iconography. And as I told you, like system iconography is more of like the generic things we know, the home icon, the trash icon, couple things that are quite similar. And that's what we call, system icons. But when it comes to product iconography, it's more of like, what does the company offer? So you think about like all the products or services the company offer, and then you come up with iconography around those services and products. So that's why I think Airco fits this. And there are more things that I will design some iconography for, just stemming from this. There are a couple services we do, and I'll be talking about those services as we're designing. But one of the services that is quite interesting, and it's one of the tools that I've been working on, for the previous couple months, which is called the co-location tool. So the co-location tool gets two monitors, puts them side by side. These monitors run data for some good time. Then it compares the raw data or even the data itself, and it manages to tell you that all the sensors within these monitors are performing well. And it does more than that. It compares even the data within the two sensors. So if I tell you that I'm really working on impact things, like I'm using design to impact the world, I'm not joking, like it's real. So anyways, let's dive into designing this iconography. Now we're on the desk, and you guys can tell how smooth that was. Like transitioning from that setup right in the couch now to the desk. That's the only thing I love about this setup. Like it's like the ease of transitioning from different angles. Right now what I'm gonna be doing is take a quick picture of the device. Let me do that. So one thing I'm gonna tell you is when you start to learn a new skill, what you want to care about mostly is the industry lingo, but also like first principles. So in this case, there's a good explanation from material that kind of takes a category of product iconography versus system iconography. There's quite a huge difference. But when you don't pay attention, you might not even understand there's something called product iconography. Iconography is quite complex. That when you think about iconography, there is a layer of working with screen, density and resolution. So you have to first understand those concepts. They are quite important when you're designing icons. But I think right now what I'm just gonna do, I'm gonna try recreate quick, I would say the grid. And then we can progress like that. And if you want to see my approach to icon design, you can go, there's a video I created like some time back. I think most of you guys liked that video and you wanted more of that kind. Yeah, but anyways, there you go. I think what right now I'm doing is usually my visual understanding, and I'll call it like visual analysis. I just want to see whether there are new ways of doing things. Before I just like bring my old mentor model, to design icons when the iPhone has a new resolution or screen density. So that's why for me, even if I know something, that I just trying to refresh myself with a bunch of like visual analysis and just seeing like whether there is some like really solid ways of approaching things like hacks and stuff. I can see there is a size requirement right there, so it's so easy for me. I can just go ahead and take this. It's not that I'm gonna use it. Think, yeah, as you can see, I think in the molecules folder, let me see, I think somewhere here, where the icons, yeah, right here. So I'm just gonna put it right here. So that's something I recommend you always should do. Just like get a glance of what's going on. So material is quite enough. Sometimes I love to keep even carbon, the design system, right on the side. So I just come here and check icons. If you don't see what you're looking for, sometimes it's actually better to search carbon and maybe carbon design system, and just add on something, maybe icons, just like that. So usually it's easier this way. If you look for something and you can't find it, you see, just like that. So I think I'm not looking for the icons themselves. I'm looking for some sort of like principle or rules around designing icons. So yeah, I think it could be this. Let me see. No, this is about their grid system. I remember saying something about the icon design kit. Just a second. Rules around icons usage. You see? Yeah. You see this? Now this is for me just like really just helping me get an idea of what all these different libraries of design systems kind of have in common. So before I get on with this designing, you will see that, like, for instance, when I'm working on, say, I'll give you an example. When I'm working on the layout or the grid system, what I do, I try to take the old approach. Because if you're familiar with all these like layout grids, previously we've been like using quite so much of Bootstrap, but now we're using mostly Terrawind. And every time like I'm working on something new, I always like keep them in tab, like compare what does Bootstrap call breakpoints, what does Tailwind call breakpoints. So this is what I'm doing right now. Like, it might be pointless, but I just always want to be sure that there's some sort of like quite like a gray line between these design systems. So if Carbon thinks this, I'm just gonna align with that. So you can see that they give you like an idea of how you can use these. If you're using a weight of 14 points for the typography, the icon needs to be a bit smaller. This looks like 20. See that? So I'm just gonna take a quick screenshot of this. Super boring stuff, but I just want to invite you into my mind, how I think when I'm working on serious stuff, like an icon set for a big company, like a big organization, or a big project like the Airco project. It's quite interesting stuff. You see this? So like they show you the do's and don'ts. If you want to read about like the difference between like product iconography and system iconography, there is a full explanation on material. I'll put a link in the description. You should go read about this. And most of you guys who are from brand design, you're getting into product design, I mean, this could be your superpower, working on product iconography. You take a brand that really has nothing, and then you just like span out like a line of product iconography, even service. Like, think about it as brand is products and service and tools, expressions. System iconography can be the same. Like, most of you guys are familiar with these applications that have the home button. It kind of feels the same every application you use. But when it comes to the products, or what you refer to as the brand products and services, like the Reels, that icon is different. Like the TikToks, like that icon is different. stuff like that. The shorts, that icon is different. So people who design these product iconography, they are experts, in their domain. So anyways, I'm over explaining this thing, and I don't want to over explain stuff, but I always get carried away by simple things. But I want to make these videos really packed with value. I don't want to just come invite you and I just show you my studio. So I hope you walk away with some amazing stuff. I think first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna design a quick grid, and then maybe have a couple. For the key line, you can come to the community. Some of these things you don't have to overthink them. So when you come to the community, you'll find that there are resources you can leverage. So if I come here and say, icon grid, man, design is easy. once you respect that some people are ahead of you. So there's a grid and a key line right here. So those screenshots I put into the design are just a way of like really understand how to respect the grid, and also refresh your mind if there are some new updates around this. So I can see that there's some expressive grid and key line. I think this stands out for me. Okay, there's one for the feather. Let me first check this out. It has a key line and it has a grid system, so you can always come to the community and just check out these things. It's quite right in your face. This is right there. So I think what I'm gonna do, just to for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna show you my process creating this grid from scratch, so that at least we can understand how to, the concept itself. So I'm just gonna come in here and maybe start off right here. So what I can understand from this is, the icon displays at 24 by 24 dp. So don't get confused, like usually material calls pixels dp, which is kind of the same thing. So I'm just gonna create that 24 frame. So I'll create a frame, just make it 24 by 24, 24 by 24. So I'll zoom in. I'll just call it grid plus key line. So what we understand from this grid, it says that every small square or every tiny pixel, it's 1 pixel. Makes sense? 1 by 1. I think that's what we're gonna really put our efforts on. You can see that this translates throughout, like 1 pixel, and then they want you to leave like 2 pixels of grid inside that. So like first things first, let's go ahead and create this grid. So you don't want it to base on, because usually Figma comes with this extra grid, but imagine a scenario where someone turned on the grid, turned off like the pixel grid. Grid. Yeah. So if someone turned off the pixel grid, now the icon might not be reliable. So there is nothing, right? So you want to create your own grid. Right? So you want to create your own grid. You don't want to rely on the native or default grid. So the way you do that is by coming to layout grids and just click that plus, and then come to just keep it on grid. All right, so you see that it's kind of the same, but like it goes without saying that most of you guys might think that's the grid you're going for. You need to create a grid that lives within your frame. Okay, so step 1 is done. So essentially what you want to do is replicate this, right? This is all we're going for. All right, so at this point, we're quite happy. We're happy with our baseline. You can see right there. So the next thing is to look at the padding. So the padding, they want us to take away 2 pixels. As I told you, like when you see DPs, just know that those are pixels. So we're gonna take away 2 pixels. That is the padding. It's more of like, it creates like an illusion for you to know where the safe space is, so that you don't overbleed to the edges of the grid. So we're gonna do that quick. So according to material, we need a padding of 2 pixels. So the way we're gonna achieve that is by putting a height to our rows and columns of 2, and then a count of 1 and a guard of 1. So this in action, let's create a quick grid here. So I'm gonna go change it to rows. Right now it looks weird, so I'm just gonna stick it to the top. That is first thing you have to do. So after that, we want to give it a count of 1, so that it's 1 row. And then after that, we want to give it a girth of 1, and then a height of 2. So as I told you, like the height is the the representation of the pixels, the 2 pixels. All right, so cool. So now to proceed, we're just gonna do that for the bottom, and then we'll use columns for our vertical right and vertical left. So I'm just gonna add another grid, change it to rows, use the same settings, 1, 1, change it to bottom, and then give it a height of 2. Good. So you guys are progressing right now. So let's do it for the columns. Just give it 1, 1, and then it's gonna stick it to the left. Give it a width of 2. In this case, it's the width. And then we're just gonna create another grid, turn it to columns, stick it to the right, and then give it 2, and then give it 1, and then give it 1 right there. Okay, so I think that step is done. So let's just go back to our references and see what material recommends again. We can see that this kind of works the same for even when the icon reduces the size. We see that it goes all the way to so essentially what they are trying to communicate here, when you're designing an icon of like 20 24 pixels, that means the icon itself has to be 20. So I think that's what they're trying to communicate to us right here. So if I'm to put in like a rectangle inside here, you see that is 20, but the overall iconography is 24. And mostly this comes into the picture to help you like have like the touch area. So if you're designing the icon at a small size, it's gonna cascade with this rationale in mind. So if I pull up my scale tool, which is a K, and put it to 16. So you will see that if I bring this guy in, you will see that the icon now is at 12. And then the overall size of the iconography is 16. So this is why setting the grid is quite important. So it helps you really have something that is well optimized for for the pixels. It's all about the pixels. It's all about the pixels. So if I'm to remove maybe snap to pixels and my icon has something like that, that's how like the blurry icons really start to come in. Everything has to be respecting the pixel from the edges of the television. We've been working with pixels, we stuck with these pixels, you have to work with these pixels. And for those of you guys who don't understand the pixel density, maybe I'll come on with another video and explain it. But mostly if you look at like this 1 pixel, right? So when it comes to pixel density, it's more of like that 1 pixels, how many pixels are in that 1 pixel, right? So that's why I think one of my, a designer part of my team asked me, why is it that when I take a screenshot of, the iPhone, the image comes out big? It's that, very reason that, there's something called the density. So it could be that maybe 1 pixel has like a million, pixels, something like that. So let me first color coordinate it in a way that can make sense. So if we have this thing right here, I know this is meant not to be a crash course on icon design, but sometimes are quite complex. And I'll come back and do another video. But the way you would think about this, let me offset it to look something like this. Right, so essentially if I pull this down like that, so essentially when it comes to like density is like how many pixels are jammed in 1 pixel, because essentially this screen doesn't become any bigger. But like I think what they figured out is like, can we make 1 pixel to have like more pixels in it? So that's what causes like the high density screens like the iPhone screen, which is in a small factor, like because they do measure it diagonal, like it's still in the small factor, but like more pixels you can see. And that's why like for the old televisions, you can actually see the pixels.